we are again with the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report, and Dr. Jim Hutchens is going to answer some questions. This is our second Q&A, and thank you, Dr. Hutchens, for being here for some questions. Let's start out with the subject of the Secretary of State. We have just been watching our Secretary of State, John Kerry, who's a very capable man, go over to the Middle East and try to make some progress in peace. He's trying to start some peace progress. Is there any more hope today than there was yesterday since he's been there?
Well, realistically, I must say I don't think there is any more hope than there has been in these various peace attempts in the past. And the major reason for that is simple. The Palestinians do not want peace. They do not want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution, and that is Palestine in the place of what we see as the modern state of Israel. The roadblocks all amount to that. They really don't want peace.
Well, now, can you be specific about how you know, say from times past or now, how do you know that? What brings you to that conclusion?
For example, under President Clinton, at the Camp David Accords, the Arafat and the Israelis were brought together. Arafat was offered 93% of the West Bank, of Judea and Samaria, and he turned it down. And he told one negotiator later that had he accepted that, he would have been killed when he stepped off the plane in Gaza. So there is a fear on the part of the leadership of that. And right now, Hamas refuses to engage in negotiation. These are half of the Palestinian people are only ones that are even considering this.
So in other words, one major reason for the lack of any progress in peace could be just pure fear.
Well, it's fear, but it's hatred too. It's a hate-based fear. If it is hatred, way outweighs the fear. I mean, they're fearless of giving their lives. You know, that's they're ushered into heaven right away. But there is a deep-seated, virile hatred on the part of the Muslim world toward the Jews.
So are you saying that all the Muslims and all the Arabs are in the same, they all agree on this issue?
There may be some few who do not, but they're not in the leadership positions in the Muslim world.
Well, what about the Jewish people in Israel? Are there any is there agreement among them? Are there any sides on the issues of peace in Israel?
Increasingly, the Israeli public is recognizing that there's not going to be peace with the Palestinians. My most recent visit over there, I had an opportunity to be briefed by a number of Israeli military people, Israelis in leadership, and to a person, they said, we do not believe that there will be peace with the Palestinians, primarily because they don't want it. But they went on to say that we are capable, and we've resigned ourselves to that, but we are capable of what they say as maintaining the conflict. They can control it. So that's what they see for themselves in the future.
So the Israelis may change back and forth depending on what they see, but basically they realize they have a foe that doesn't really care about them, doesn't want them there.
They don't want them there. They want them eliminated, just as Ahmadinejad has said. They should be wiped off the map.
Well, is there any determining factor at all for the Jews to cause them to accept something, anything?
I think at the end of these negotiations, I think there was one determining factor that was raised. I hadn't heard this before, but Prime Minister Netanyahu said that no agreement will ever be signed with the Palestinians without first going to the Israeli public for a referendum. And I think after all these years of trying to gain peace with the Palestinians and the Muslim world, the Israeli public are recognizing it's just not going to happen because they don't want it. And Prime Minister Netanyahu has said, okay, there will be no agreement unless there's a referendum that passes the Israeli people.
So that has changed, hasn't it? There's been so many who kind of were doing more land for peace, almost anything.
Yeah. I think there would be a vote in favor of that referendum.
What referendum?
That the Prime Minister Netanyahu has said has to happen.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, then let me ask you this: how then should we live as Christians who believe in the covenants of God for the Jews and the land of Israel? How should we live if we don't see any way to make peace, or what should we do?
Well, that's a very good question. I think there are many noble efforts to answer that question. But as I see the situation over there, I see that it's going to get worse. As I understand the Bible, what the Bible said, that it will get worse before it gets better. And it will only get better, ultimately, when God fulfills his promise of his covenant, promise to have a homeland for the Jewish people. And that will happen, ultimately, when the Messiah comes. So it may sound like wishful thinking and not a real solution, but I do not believe, in my heart of hearts, knowing what I know the Bible says, that anything positive and ultimate will happen until Messiah comes.
Well, it may sound like wishful thinking, but everything seems to be wishful thinking already. So the hope for Christians then is to what?
Our only hope for the Christian is the coming of the Messiah, the coming of Jesus, our Messiah, to rule and reign on this earth. And that's really the only hope for the Jews as well.
As they look for their Messiah, and as they look to the Bible and look at the covenants that God has promised,
exactly,
to hold steady.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Hutchens, and we will see you again soon with the next Q&A from the Jerusalem Connection.
Thank you very much. Yivareka Yahweh v'yishmereka, Ya'er Yahweh panav v'yechunecha, Yisa Yahweh panav v'yasim lecha shalom. God bless.